Uh, I'm Loretta Nash, and today I have a set of books. These are really old books. They're called The Bible Story, and this one is Volume 1, and this is by author S. Maxwell. Um, these books is an inheritance from my daughter that she got from her great grandma. I had a copy when I was younger of these. Um, it's very interesting of what we had to do growing up. But this is the copy that my husband's grandma had, and uh, of course, it's the Bible Story, Volume 1 by author S. Maxwell. And this book was printed in 1955 or so. Um, but this is what the inside looks like. And this volume is go to the next page. It says The Bible Story, Volume 1, The Book of Beginnings, from Creation to Joseph. And see, it's got a little thing right here, and it looks like it hasn't even been used. Okay? And then this next page says The Bible Story, more than 400 stories in 10 volumes covering the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation. Volume 1, The Book of the Beginnings, by author S. Maxwell, author of Uncle Arthur's Bedtime Stories, The Children's Hour with Uncle Arthur, The Secret of the Cave, and etc. Reviewed and Herald Publishing Association, Washington, D.C. And this is what it looks like. Little girl, you can tell it's 1950s, 40s, 50s, in the painting, in this little painting. And this is a hand painted. The original is hand painted, and then they pretty much scanned it in, and then they made copies of it. That's what they used to do long, long time ago. Okay. Then it has right here, this book is copyrighted 1953 by the Review and Herald Publishing Association. All rights are reserved. No part of its literary or pictorial context may be reproduced without permission of the publisher. All illustrations painted by Herbert Rudin, except for those individually cited, all set in USA. And of course, it has a pretty girl blowing a, a daffodil. Not a daffodil, dandelion. Okay, and the caption for it is, "What fun is it to blow a dandelion seed ball and see the soft, furry particles fly away into the air? This is how the wind scatters the seeds of trees and plants everywhere." Oh, pollen. And I'm in the South. Whew, pollen is bad sometimes. It depends. Okay, then it goes forward. The Bible is the most wonderful storybook ever written. It is full of stories all the way from the first chapter of Genesis to the last chapter of Revelation. These stories have been told over and over again for thousands of years, yet they are new and fresh and fascinating to every generation. They need to be retold today so that boys and girls of the 20th century may see their beauty and catch their inspiration. I kind of was really bad at reading in school. That's why they never really called me to do this. So you got to be patient with me, guys. It is one of the strangest paradox of our time that just when the Bible is enjoyed its widest circulation, millions of copies being sold every day or every year, fewer people than ever seem to be reading it because countless home family worship and homes because in countless homes family worship and reading the Bible has been neglected, and parents themselves seldom open its pages. A whole generation is growing up. A whole generation is growing up with little or no knowledge of this wonderful book. Most children, most modern children, have heard little to nothing about the great Bible characters of ancient times, so familiar to their grandparents. Their heroes are not their heroes are not Daniel, Paul, Peter, but Dick Tracy, he's a detective, and Superman. They were never heard they have never heard of the love of Jesus, and thus have been robbed of the greatest treasure their mind and hearts could possess. No wonder there is such juvenile delinquency, youthful vandalism, and lawlessness. You gotta think, this is 1953? This is the beginning of rock and roll. I mean, this way before anything that I had to go through in the 70s. And believe me, we had a copy of this and we had to read it in the 70s. And it was just because we didn't have the internet and all this cool stuff that we have now. And I don't think very many people still have this. Okay. Uh, in the author's opinion, no greater contribution could be made in the welfare of society and peace of the world than to lead children to the love of the Bible, to enjoy its stories, appreciate its teaching, adopt its standards, and find its God. Now, I'm having trouble reading, which I always do anyway, so I'm going to use the ruler because sometimes the lines go like, and so that's why it I'm going to use the ruler to help me read. And then if you watch some old movies, they used to do this too to keep up, help them keep up. Okay, so I'm going to use my ruler. And the next paragraph. In writing the Bible story, the author has tried not only to tell the dear old stories in a language that boys and girls of today can understand, but also reveal the golden thread which binds them, the love of God of the love of God for the children of man, and his wonderfulest plan for their redemption. The overall purpose has been to provide what might be called the Bible for children by retelling all the old familiar stories in language by modern boys and girls can both understand and enjoy. And that was up. That was just this little thing right here. It's interesting, and you have to read it. Okay, of the uh, forward. More of the forward. It's like another paragraph. You gotta think this 1953 and this stuff is weird. Some of this stuff. I mean, when you go looking at old books, it's weird. All of these retold stories are original. No paragraph or sentence has been borrowed from the book of any other author. In this sense, it is an altogether new work, adapted to the needs and desires of the children of today. Although an endeavor has been made to use only simple words, such as the youngest child may be able to read, can easily understand. These volumes are not intended to be readers for infants or preschool age. It is presumed that parents of these little ones will read the stories to them, explaining the longer words as it is necessary. The Bible story provides the widest coverage of any Bible storybook on the market. Oh, it's an advertisement. In its pages, you will find all the stories suitable for telling to children from Genesis to Revelation. In the telling of these stories, the Bible narrative has been carefully adhered to without any addition or fanciful speculations. Big words. Gladly, the author confessed that in pursuing this undertaking, he has caught a fresh glimpse of wonder and glory of the book of books. Over and over again, whether it been in retelling of the story of creation to the flood, the lives of the patriarchs and the prophets, the life of the ministry of Jesus Christ, or the witness and martyrdom of the founders of the early church, he has seen to hear echo down the centuries those impressibly beautiful words, God so loved the world. You got to be thinking I'm doing a 200 and something book on the side of this. Okay, and some of these words get tongue-tied, especially when you hadn't heard them in a really long time. Gratitude is due to the publishers who, with rare vision and enterprise, has arranged for the illustration of the volumes, which originally with original paintings by some of the finest authors of our day, under the direction inspiration of T.K. Martin, art director of the Review and Herald Publishing Association. It is hope and prayer for the author that, as a result of the publication of the Bible story, thousands of children all over the world will be led to a new joy and interest in the Bible, and accept it for themselves, and indeed it is the Word of the living God. Author S. Maxwell. Twin Oaks, North 101 North El Monte Avenue, Los Altos, California. And then there's a picture. It says, dedicated to boys and girls in every land and to all who love the Bible. And this is the picture. And the caption says, although Adam and Eve were banished from the Eden, they were blessed with children and give a beautiful home in which they laughed and sang and worshiped the Creator. That's it. And that's the caption to this Nice, pretty painting. You can definitely see the strokes of the painting on 1953. Interesting. Okay, now here's the boring thing. And the contents of the book. Hi, contents. Part 1, Stories of Creation. Genesis 1, 1 through 2 and 7. If you didn't know, Genesis is a book in the Bible. Chapter 1, of course, is the 1. 1 through 2 is verse 1 through 2. Or chapters, yeah. And then they have a little semicolon and 7. It just tells where they all are. Okay, then it says, back to the beginning, how everything began, the great preparations, birthday of the world, the first ray of sunshine, out of the silence a song, the animals appear, God makes man, Adam's first meal, fairest creature of creation. And then it's got the page numbers. And that's in part 1. Part 2 is Stories of Eden and the Fall. Genesis chapter 2, verses 8, starting at verse 8, going to chapter 5. Now I got it to verse 27. And then it says, before I turn the page, let's read this. Man's garden home, the day to remember, the first mistake. And this is what the content page looks like. And this book is a pretty awesome shape, isn't it? To be as old as it is. Whew, I'm almost 70 years old. Good shape. Okay? And then we've turned the page, and then it says the Bible story. And then it's got another listing. The test of love, the price of sin, one gleam of hope, the first baby, the first quarrel, the marked man, Adam's last birthday, the man who walked into heaven, and that's in the second part. The third part is stories about Noah and the flood. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 to chapter 11, verse 9. And it says, sad bad days, God's shipbuilder, the animals move in, heaven floodgates open, strange voyage in the strait. Beginning again, the first skyscraper. And that's in part 3. Now, part 4. Stories about Abraham, Isaac, and Lot. Ooh, Lot. Not casting lots. That's his name. It's Lot. Okay? It says chapters 12 through chapters 24. I'm not going to do the verses because maybe some of you are going to get confused about it. Okay. God finds a boy is the first part. All abroad for Canaan. And then a good man's footsteps. Choosing the best. Not a thread or a shoestring. Children like the stars. Sarah laughs too soon. Fire falls from heaven. Love's greatest test. The girl with a kind heart and the boy with a friendly spirit. And then, of course, there's no pictures, and it starts in chapter 1. Stories of creation. I'm going to pause for a second and then we'll start chapter. I'm going to pause before I start chapter 1 and enjoy.